After the end of her active career as a player, Voss-Tecklenburg worked as a team manager for the Obelia club. She is a former Germany international with 125 caps. Her preferred formation is a 4-3-3 holding, or with a central defensive midfield and two attacking mid in constant movement. She used her 4-3-3 formation with high intensity pressing game to pressurize her opponents and create as much scoring chances as possible. From the Euro stats, you can see her with the highest turnover in possession and the lowest passes per defensive action. This game requires players to be extremely physical and dynamic, since they will be moving constantly to make vertical and horizontal runs while still tracking their opponents, and also requires spatial awareness of each other's position in order to shift across to cover spaces vacated by teammates. Let's look at what Germany did in possession. Their build-up play mostly depends on the type of opponent, that is, a high block opponent, mid block opponent, or low block opponent. We are going to look at them all one by one. Their goalkeeper needs to be excellent under pressure and be able to pick out players with long balls. The centre backs will move on either side of the goalkeeper to receive. They need to be able to give line-breaking passes or accurate long balls towards the forwards. The behavior of the fullbacks depends on the opponent's pressing structure and intensity, that is high, mid or low, meaning opponents with high block, the fullbacks both stays deep to assist the centre backs on the first phase, so that their centre backs can have enough time on the ball to provide their forwards. Their structure will be a 4-3-3 with a triangular midfield and their three forwards using the entire width of the pitch ready to spring forward to receive long balls in behind the opposition's defense. Or if the opposition is pacey and careful enough not to allow long balls in behind, Germany will adapt by their forwards squeezing up into the half spaces and the central attacking midfield stepping forward, making their structure to be a 4-2-1-3, where long balls will now be more central towards the central forward and the CAM coming to win the second ball. Pop was good in the air and Mago had a good reading of the game to win the second balls. When the oppositions are not particularly high and pressing with a mid block, one of the German fullback will push high up early, mostly Green, while the other Rahor stays behind to form a back three with the defenders. The CDM Oberdorf just in front of them to link up the play with the central midfielders on either side. Their structure will now be a 3-1-2-4, or to overwhelm the opposition's defense, it will be a 3-1-6, with the central backs also willing to carry the ball in order to beat the first line of pressure. With opponents defending deep or with a low block, both fullbacks will push high up early with the CGM Oberdorf ready to cover any space on either side. Building with a back three still, and this time the third central back option is provided by either a central midfield, mostly Magul, dropping to receive at the side of the central back, or the CGM Oberdorf dropping in between the central backs. On either way, they will look like a 3-2-5 with Dabritz and Magul in the midfield. In their midfield three, while Oberdorf is the holding mid, the other two also have different roles. Dabritz in the central midfield will be more of a controller who sets the tempo of the game by recycling possession and making switches, also acting as a box-to-box mid. While Magul takes the role of the creator with her excellent passing, ready to attack with late runs into the box and create overloads on either side of the pitch, with 3v2 situations looking to drill low crosses. Magul's runs at the side vacate her central position, which will then be occupied by one of the fullbacks, mostly Green. This her high and central position will be advantageous, keep it in mind. Up front, when maintaining their 3-2-5 formation, both wingers Huth and Brand keep the width, while the fullbacks Green and Hao attack the half spaces to stretch the opposition's defense line. Or the wingers invert and stay tight for the fullbacks to be wide and have enough time to receive. If Germany needs numbers in the midfield, Rao and Green can invert and stay in the same line with Magul and Dabritz to form a 3-4-3 or 2-5-3 depending on the situation, since they will be ready to press. Both wingers should be excellent in dribbling and pacey as discussed, since Germany like attacking wide. What made German attack to be so dangerous was when they open up gaps in between defenders. They did it by, firstly, making horizontal runs constantly. The winger Hood making runs from left to right in order to stretch the central space by forcing one centre back to follow her and be out of possession, creating a gap between both centre backs. Or they can do that by switches of Oberdorf. The space between the centre back is for the central forward Pop to find herself in a 1v1 situation with the other centre back, which they know she mostly dominates. Another way they can create space between defenders is by creating overload in the middle third with Green, Brandt and Magul. This will attract the opposition fullback. When she comes to cover, it creates a big gap between her, the fullback, and the centre backs, where Magul will be decent to run into the space. And when the centre back steps forward to cover, another gap between both centre backs will be created for Pop to be left in a 1v1 with the other centre back, where another German player can still attack the space if there is a cutback. Germany overload the box with Pop, the wingers, and Magul making late runs to come in the end of cutbacks or coming to provide an aerial threat. Also, while Pop's 4 of her 6 goals came from headers. They also use third player runs when attacking. Defensively, Germany does a high pressing game. That's why they have the lowest passes per defensive action in the Euros. With their fullback Vin in high and central position as mentioned earlier, they are able to man-mark, counter-press the opposition and stop any threat immediately, which is done easily because the oppositions are not yet organized and are still out of position. Germany's aim in counter-pressing is to win the ball as fast as possible and attack immediately because their forwards are in good attacking zones. That's why they have the highest number of turnovers in possession in the Euros. When pressing the opposition in their build-up, they usually set pressing traps. That is, when the ball is with the goalkeeper, the central forward makes a curved run to force play in one direction. When the goalkeeper gives the ball to the central back, the central mid, Dabrit or Magul, presses immediately, with the wingers covering the fullbacks and the CGM or Berdov covering whichever attacking mid trying to drop deep in order to block any passing lane into the middle, with the defense line pushing high up. If the ball is with the right central back, for example, the Brit comes central to press the left central back if she receives. The wingers pressing the fullbacks as Haho is ready to track any opposition winger looking to drop. Forcing play in one direction forces the opposition to go long, and it's usually in a catastrophic manner, where they will gain possession back easily, so having a high overall possession during the Euros. But when the opposition is calm enough, a switch will be done which will be enough to beat the German press. And when the press is broken, the Germans regroup rapidly to form a 4-5-1 block or a 4-1-4-1. German mid-block is more of a 4-2-3-1, with the Brits forming a double pivot with Oberdorf and Magul as 10 behind the forward. Throughout the Euros, at the center, Oberdorf was very aggressive during the opponent's transitions, covering any space behind the fullbacks that the opposition looked to exploit, and she was always positioned in front of her central back to stop any central progression. The German 4-5-1 block prevented all central progression, with their midfield three acting as a central block and force the opponent wide, since their wingers would be willing to travel all the way back to defend. Overall, Germany's performance in the Euro was far from being disappointing, even though the coach forced Stecklenburg wanted to win it to add to the ones she won when she was still a German player. That's what I made for German tactics, and I'll be keen to listen to any remarks in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching.